As President Joe Biden struggles to survive the political crisis that has engulfed his campaign, he's faced worsening trends in recent days. First, major media outlets have published several news stories raising tough questions about Biden's age and governing capacity. The floodgates for leaks have opened, reporters are intensely scrutinizing the issue, and the president is no longer getting the benefit of the doubt. Second, a few Democratic elected officials have finally begun to openly discuss the prospect that Biden could leave the ticket, and some have outright called on him to do so. The bulk of the Democratic Party, for now, is still behind Biden, and he maintained Wednesday that he's staying in the race. But anxious deliberations within the party about what to do are continuing, particularly in the wake of new polling showing Donald Trump expanding his lead. What's being reported about Biden's age and capacity before the debate? Major media outlets like the New York Times and Wall Street Journal would intermittently report on the question of Biden's age and health, collecting accounts of what the president is like behind closed doors from aides and others who met with him in private. Often, such reports turned up a mixed picture, finding that Biden sometimes had mix-ups and verbal flubs and sometimes appeared fully up to the job. Always, Democrats responded to these reports with intense criticism. Since the debate, though, coverage of this issue has risen to a new level of intensity, and leaks have been coming fast and furious. A brutal New York Times story released Tuesday dug into what the paper called Biden's lapses, which their sources claimed have recently grown more frequent, more pronounced, and more worrisome. In such lapses, the Times reporter sources claim, Biden would sometimes appear listless, lose the thread of conversations, or react with blank-stared confusion. At other points, they say, Biden would appear perfectly on top of his game. Axios's Alex Thompson reported that aides believed Biden was dependably engaged between the hours of 10 a.m. and 4 p.m., but that outside those hours, Biden was more likely to have verbal miscues and become fatigued. Thompson added that aides usually see Biden engaged and have brushed off flashes of absent-mindedness as ordinary brain farts. Legendary reporter Carl Bernstein said on CNN that, over the past year and a half, there have been 15 to 20 occasions on which Biden has appeared as unfocused as he was during the debate. He characterized such instances as Biden losing his train of thought and being unable to pick it up again. The Wall Street Journal reported that some senior European diplomats have said they had tracked a noticeable deterioration in the president's faculties in meetings since last summer. And the Financial Times reported that, during a meeting between Biden and a new leader earlier this year, the president began and ended the meeting by telling the same anecdote. Such incidents appear juicy when they come from anonymous leaks. But the reality is that many Biden incidents like this have at various points occurred in public and been reported on before. What's changed is that many Biden-sympathetic observers tended to view them as uncharacteristic or unrepresentative. A common reaction was, so what if he mixes up a name or forgets something? It's not putting his governance at risk. Now, the debate has changed the narrative around incidents like this, reasonably so, given the risks Biden's poor performance there pose to his re-election. What could be waved away as harmless blips now look like a devastating chronic weakness? Will this change anything? The left-of-center commentators have overwhelmingly called for Biden to step aside after the debate. His support among elected Democratic officials has mostly held up so far. But a few cracks in that support started to appear Tuesday and Wednesday. Reps. Lloyd Doggett DTX and Raul Grijalva as called on Biden to drop out. Reps. Jared Golden Demi and Marie Gluesenkamp Perez D. Washington, who represent conservative districts, both opined that Biden can't win. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi D. Sen. Sheldon Whitehouse D. and Rep. Mike Quigley DIL all said Biden needed to do more to assuage concerns over his performance. Sen. Peter Welch DVT characterized Biden's campaign as being far too dismissive of legitimate concerns. The Washington Post reported that Sen. Joe Manchin DWV was close to disavowing Biden over the weekend, but was talked out of it for now, and reported that former President Barack Obama had privately spoken skeptically of Biden's chances going forward. Reps. James Clyburn Diesk and Summer Lee DePaul both said they'd support Vice President Kamala Harris as the nominee if Biden quit the race. Rep. Jamie Raskin DMD said that discussions on the best path forward to beat Trump were happening very quickly. Clyburn also said that there could be a mini primary in the weeks leading up to the late August Democratic Convention to determine a replacement for Biden, though he emphasized this was a hypothetical scenario. Into this swirl of discontent comes a New York Times Siena poll released Wednesday, showing Biden trailing Trump by 6 percentage points among likely voters and by 8 points among registered voters. Biden has done little to quiet these concerns so far, having avoided unscripted public settings since the debate. But he plans to sit for an interview with George Stephanopoulos of ABC News on Friday. Anything less than a dazzling performance will imperil his political future further. Biden has scheduled his first interview after his shaky debate performance. President Joe Biden has scheduled his first television interview following his disastrous debate with former President Trump last week that led many within Biden's own party to question whether he should be the Democratic nominee. ABC will air parts of George Stephanopoulos' interview with Biden on Friday at 6:30 p.m. Add on World News Tonight with David Muir. The extended interview will air Sunday on This Week with George Stephanopoulos. At last week's debate, hosted by CNN, Biden struggled to complete sentences at times and often looked lost as Trump pumped out falsehoods, urgently raising questions about Biden's age and ability to serve a second term. The interview is a major get for ABC News and an important moment for Biden, following his halting debate performance. Although Biden has made several public appearances since the debate, he has read prepared remarks at those events. This will be his first off-the-cuff appearance since the debate. Several White House allies have publicly and privately called for Biden to immediately hold some sort of live interview or press conference to help assuage fears over the president's acuity. ABC did not immediately respond to a request for comment about whether it plans to publish the full unedited version of the interview. Due to timing constraints, networks usually edit down interviews for shows. Biden's last major interview was with David Muir in Normandy last month. He previously spoke to CNN's Aaron Burnett on May 8 and with Time magazine's Massimo Calabresi on May 28. The ABC interview will be his fourth major television interview of 2024, according to a CNN tally. Biden has held fewer interviews than his recent predecessors. President Joe Biden on Wednesday increased his outreach to lawmakers, Democratic governors, and staffers after days of criticism that he hasn't done enough to personally tamp down on nervousness that he should abandon his run for re-election. The effort included calls to congressional Democratic leaders and a meeting Wednesday evening with Democratic governors, including 10 who traveled to Washington to attend in person. Nearly a week after the debate, Biden and senior aides are still scrambling to recover from his devastating performance and quash growing calls for him to step down as the party's nominee in the November election. Following a meeting between Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, and governors, the state officials emerged and largely echoed one another in offering praise for Biden, with several referring to being all in and being partners who have one another's backs. "We are all looking for the path to win. All the governors agree with that. President Biden agrees with that." Minnesota Gov. Tim Walz, the chair of the Democratic Governors Association, told reporters outside the White House, "He has had our backs through COVID, through all of the recovery, all of the things that have happened. The governors have his back, and we're working together." Maryland Gov. Wes Moore said the group that met with Biden came in, and we were honest about the feedback that we were getting. We were honest about the concerns that we were hearing from people. "Listen, we're governors. We don't do hand-wringing," Moore said after the meeting. "And come November, we've got a binary choice, and the binary choice is between someone who has continually delivered for us and our states, the people of our states, and frankly, someone whose vision for the future of this country is downright dangerous." California Gov. Gavin Newsom told NBC News that he heard 3 words from the president: "He's all in." "And so am I. Joe Biden's had our back. Now it's time to have his." Michigan Gov. Gretchen Whitmer, who attended the meeting but didn't speak to reporters afterward, said on X Minutes after the meeting wrapped that Biden is our nominee. "He is in it to win it, and I support him." A spokeswoman for Illinois Gov. J.B. Pritzker told NBC News, Gov. Pritzker reports that the meeting was candid, and he appreciated hearing directly from the president. Pritzker had not tweeted a message of support following the meeting as of late Wednesday night. Newsom, Pritzker, and Whitmer have all been floated as possible replacements for Biden at the top of the ticket if he were to drop out. Notably absent from the meeting was Wisconsin Gov. Tony Evers. A spokesperson for Evers, Britt Kudabak, said on X that Evers didn't attend the meeting because he's focused on moving forward and winning Wisconsin. He supports President Biden, His comments in support of the president over the last week speak for themselves, and he looks forward to campaigning with the president on Friday. When reached for comment, the Biden campaign pointed to the tweet from Evers' spokesperson. Biden received some pointed questions and criticism from governors. In addition to support, a person with knowledge of the meeting told NBC News. This person said Biden downplayed the bad polling numbers he's facing while saying he was committed to the race. A campaign official said no when asked if any of the governors asked the president to step aside. After the meeting, a campaign official said Biden sought the advice and expertise of Democratic governors. In addition to defeating Donald Trump, the meeting also focused on the importance of electing Democrats up and down the ballot to deliver more Democratic governors and more Democratic majorities in Congress and state houses across the country, the campaign official added, saying that each governor in the meeting also reiterated their shared commitment to do everything possible to make sure President Biden and Vice President Harris beat Donald Trump in November. The meeting came after a day of calls reassuring campaign staff members and Democratic lawmakers. On an all-hands call with campaign staffers, Biden made it clear that he didn't plan to exit the race, telling attendees, "Let me say this as clearly as I possibly can, as simply and straightforward as I can. I am running." According to a campaign official on the call, "No one is pushing me out," Biden added, saying, "I'm not leaving. I'm in this race to the end, and we're going to win." Moments later, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre reiterated Biden's comments at a briefing, telling reporters that he is absolutely not considering stepping down. On the campaign call, Biden also called for his party to be unified heading into the fall, telling staffers that when Democrats unite, we will always win. "Just as we beat Donald Trump in 2020, we're going to beat him again in 2024. Biden campaign chair John O'Malley Dillon and campaign manager Julie Chavez Rodriguez organized the call, which both Biden and Harris joined, according to a source familiar with the matter. Harris told staffers that she was all in on Biden, saying, "We will not back down. We will follow our president's lead. We will fight, and we will win." The all-hands meeting was billed as a quick all-staff call to check in as a team by O'Malley Dillon and Chavez Rodriguez. In an email to campaign staffers obtained by NBC News, the two campaign leaders said that moving forward, "We will be using emails and all staff calls more frequently to make sure you all have the latest updates and broader campaign priorities for the day." The two also told staff members that the focus for Wednesday would be emphasizing that the race remains steady, drawing a contrast with former President Donald Trump and amplifying Biden's coming events in battleground states, like his trip to Wisconsin on Friday. Biden also spoke separately to former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, D. Califf, and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, D.N.Y. on Wednesday, sources familiar with the conversation said, and a spokesperson for Rep. James Clyburn, D.S.C., a former House Majority Whip, told NBC News that the two had spoken Wednesday, but that the substance of that call will remain private. Biden spoke with House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, D.N.Y. on Tuesday. Also Wednesday, White House Chief of Staff Jeff Zients held a call with White House staffers, urging them to get things done, hold our heads high and execute on the president's agenda, a White House official told NBC News. Zients also told staffers to tune out any outside noise and chatter and to stay disciplined. The meeting with the governors Wednesday evening came after a group of state executives met separately Tuesday on a call organized by Walls. Democratic governors are proud to be some of the president's closest partners and allies on the campaign trail. Together, we have delivered millions of jobs, rebuilt roads and bridges across the country, and made critical investments in communities that have for too long been left behind. The president has worked side by side with us to deliver for the people of our states, and we're looking forward to talking with him today, Walz said in a statement early Wednesday. Newsom sent out an email Wednesday fundraising off the coming meeting with Biden, featuring the subject line, "Heading to the White House." In it, he told his supporters, "As you read this, I am on my way to Washington, D.C. to meet and stand with the president at the White House later tonight. When that's over, I'll be hitting the road to campaign for him and Democrats running up and down the ballot in several swing states. One of the places I'll be going is Pennsylvania, where I'll be with Senator Bob Casey as he runs for re-election in a tough race against a well-funded opponent. The truth is, we all have our roles to play if Democrats are going to win this fall," the email added. The donation links in the email directed supporters straight to the Casey campaign donation page. Two Democrats in Congress have called on Biden to abandon his re-election bid. Others have said they are waiting to see a fresh round of polling to evaluate whether Biden's support has cratered and whether his debate performance affected any close down ballot races.